Worst Take. And on Worst Take, we go around the NBA media landscape, whether it's a podcast or it's a blog, a newsletter post, or hey, maybe it's even, a crazy comment from your group chat that you guys want us to react to, and we react to it. We give a rating and we give our response to it. The rating, as you guys know in the chat, 1 being trash, all the way up to 5 being facts. So on the first one, I got 2 clips here that we're going to play here, Caleb. On the first one, we're going to talk about Mario Chalmers. This is Mario Chalmers and our guy Iman Shumpert, where Shump is asking Chalmers, are the Knicks a championship team? So let's hear what Mario has to say here, and we'll have you react to it on the other side. Here we go.
New York Knicks 2026 roster is in championship form. You tailing that or you fading it?
2026, JB, Cat, Bridges, OG, fading that. They missing one more piece.
What type of piece you talking?
I think they're missing that dominant big. I think Cat is decent. Cat is good what he's good for, but
You want a true big man.
yeah, they need somebody that can really block it and give them a presence on the offensive end too, as well as the defensive end.
All right, Caleb. So Mario Chalmers says they're missing one more piece and says that they need a dominant big man. He feels like the big man is the dominant piece. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, we do have the piece. The question is, will the piece be dominant? We saw moments with Cat last year where that was the Cat we wanted, right? Not on D, but Cat's got a beautiful, beautiful offensive game. And if he can be that guy and be a suitable defender, I think we got the piece. There's maybe 3 or 4 big men like the ones he's talking about out there, and none of them are available.
Yeah.
So I don't know what we're talking about here. Like, in that case, it's trash to me because we got the guy. The guy's just got to turn it up, earn his paycheck, and play like a champion. And I think if we have a Cat that is 25 points a game, getting boards, at least 5-6 boards a game, making his free throws and not letting his whoever he's guarding take him to the house too many times, that's enough for us. When you think about the other pieces that we have, I think that should be enough for us. So it's a question of him dialing it up.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. So what are you rating that, man? 1 being trash, 5, all the way up to 5 being facts. What are you rating that take there by Mario Chalmers?
I'm going to give that a 2.2.
Okay.
All right. Because there is some truth to that, but I think we actually have the piece. The piece just has to play like the piece.
You know what? I'm with you. I'll give it a 2 in that regard as well. I was going to give it a 1 because it's Mario Chalmers. He's former Miami Heat. My Heat hater senses go off anytime I hear one of those guys talk. So, I always want to trash him. But I'll give it a 2. And I'm with you in that it is Towns on the offensive side, and we want to see him emerge and be that guy and be dominant consistently. But from a defensive standpoint, has Mario Chalmers ever watched Mitchell Robinson play basketball? I almost think Mario Chalmers skipped the entire NBA playoffs because if he did watch, he would see that not only do the Knicks have a good big man tandem offensively and defensively, he would also see that no team in the Final Four had a dominant big man. The OKC Thunder just won with Hartenstein as their starting 5. The Pacers came in there with Miles Turner. Both teams very good on the perimeter. I mean, I think it's a different game now. The last time when you look at the NBA Finals, look at champions, all right, you want to go to the Joker, who played the 5 for the Nuggets. Okay, fine. Yeah, he's a Hall of Fame, once-in-a-lifetime player. But other than that, this is a different time. And Mario Chalmers, an NBA champion, played with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. His big man was Joel Anthony. So Mario Chalmers, of all people, should understand that you don't necessarily need a dominant big if your team is balanced correctly. Now, where they could be missing the piece, where the piece could be missing, I think, is in that the tertiary ball handler, shot creator. Is it going to be Mikal Bridges in Mike Brown's new offense? I think that is where, what we might be missing here, and what I'm going to be curious to see all year long into the playoffs. Like, how does Bridges' role offensively evolve with this team? Where do they have enough balance to not have to rely on Brunson and Cat to save them in isolation situations?
That's a great question. And so who is going to handle the ball bringing it up the court because it is exhausting. You can see the wear down Jalen Brunson as the year goes on, even though he seems indestructible. But at some point, 29 years old, I think he is.
Yeah.
Young still, but old in NBA numbers. It takes a toll. So who can handle that for us? Who can create shots? Mikal, we saw when he gets across the lane with the fadeaway and his move, but teams figure that out too. So they'll close it off at some point. Can he effectively handle and be a distributor and give Jalen a break there? Can Clarkson be that guy who can handle and put up some points for us and take some pressure off of Jalen? And then, I would like to see OG have a bigger offensive season too.
Yeah.
We saw some moments in the playoffs where it was like dominating, right? When he gets it going, when he gets mad, he's an absolute dog. So he's not a ball handler, but he's somebody that the defense is going to have to focus on if he starts getting a little bit more aggressive. So we'll see what Coach Brown has to do, his setups and his schemes in terms of getting other people involved and giving Jalen a break off the ball.
Good takes. Good people in the chat. Rate that take in the chat, man. 1 being trash, 5 being facts. Let us know what you guys are thinking here. I see Frank White gave him a 1. He's not feeling it, man. Stevie Nicks, 1.5. Oh, Hector Vasquez gave it a 4. All right. Hector, what's going on, man? Give us your rationale here. Let us know, man. We're open to all opinions here. Will Latimer, a 2. Okay. There we go. All right, so the chat is speaking here, Caleb. Shout out to our guy Lee Bloxham checking in from the UK. He drops a 1 in there. Shout out to our guy Lee, diehard KFTV. He's definitely a day one. Okay, here is the second one, and this one comes from the governor of Knicks Nation. At least this is what we dubbed him a couple years ago. That is Big Perk, Kendrick Perkins, on NBA Today. Here is what he had to say about the New York Knicks. We're going to play the clip, and then we'll have Caleb react to it. Here we go.
When it really is looking like the New York Knicks are head and shoulders, maybe along with a couple of other teams like the Cavaliers, above everybody else, how do you feel about them heading into this season?
They are. To me, they're the best team in the Eastern Conference, right? We know that the Celtics, they are somewhat in the rebuild mode. Okay, the Cavs, I don't trust them. I trust Big Body Bronson as the leader of that ball club, and they addressed the issues that they needed to address. You go and you get some bench players that's going to come in and play their role while still keeping your entire core together. We know OG Anunoby. We know what he's going to bring to the table for us being that 3-and-D guy. At times, he looked like Scottie Pippen. Josh Hart, he's going to come back on the mission. Obviously, they just re-signed Mikal Bridges, and I'm looking forward to see what Karl Anthony Towns look like under a new voice of their locker room and Mike Brown. I think we're going to see the best version of him. If you ask me, I'm all in on the Knicks for us in the Eastern Conference. No slight to nobody else. I just feel like they checked all the boxes, and they're the best team in the Eastern Conference right now on paper.
All right, Caleb. Big Perk standing on Knicks business. Says we're the best in the East right now.
Yeah, standing on business, and I'd like to take him out to dinner. I give that a 5. He's 100% right.
Let's go.
On paper, he's right. We are the best team in the league, and some of the things he's on paper, but some of the things he said that are super important. We have basically the same core.
Yes.
Right? Other teams are in a rebuilding mode right now. There's a different voice in the locker room, but this team has now had a couple of seasons together with Towns, or at least a season together with Towns, so they kind of know who each other is, where each other, where to find each other on the court, also who are the leaders in the locker room. I think that's all been established right now. So we have the consistency, hopefully the health. We have an incredible defensive backup center, who's a game changer. We saw what he can do, and I think he's right. And I think the East is going to be tough, but I think that the biggest threats to us in the East, I think Cleveland's still a threat. I mean, You cannot count out that team. They're pretty good, even though they traded a pretty big chip there. I think, as I said earlier, that Orlando's going to be better now. They've had a few years together. They're young. They're tall. They're long. They're athletic. They're going to give us a hard time. And Atlanta, I think, is also better than they were, and they're going to give us a hard time because they always do. But I do think that, we're a 1-2 seed. I think, the betting odds have the Knicks as one of the top, I think, 4th top team in the league right now, which looks just the way it looked at the end of last year, pretty much, for the most part. Oklahoma City being number 1, most likely to repeat, too, and that squad is tough. But we're in the top 4, and that's what you can hope for. Be in that Final Four, be healthy towards the end of the season, make the run. Hopefully you get that window, something breaks the right way, and we're running down 7th Avenue in the back of a Cadillac.
There you go. All right, so what are you giving it? 1 to 5. 1 being trash, 5 being facts.
Yeah, 5 being facts.
Let's go.
He's standing on business. He's right.
Yeah.
The question is, will we play up to it? But I don't disagree with him at all. And I bleed orange and blue, but I do think he's right. And when he doesn't shy away from how he feels.
Yeah. Shout out to Big Perk, the governor. I'll give it a 5 as well. With this caveat, I think that we could see this happening in terms of them being the best team in the East come playoff time, because I want to see how do they adjust to this new system. How do they, reestablish that chemistry under this new system? From what we've heard just from different sound bites and people that are familiar with Mike Brown, the offense will involve a little bit more ball movement, a little bit more player movement. So if that's the case, do they take the ball out of Jalen's hands a little bit more? How does that look? How comfortable will they be in that? The new bench pieces, I want to see what those growing pains look like in the beginning of the season. And so while they go through that, I would expect a team like a Cleveland, who has everything rolling over from last year, including coaching, a strong regular season team, as they've been even before Kenny Atkinson. I think they can kind of pick up where they left off. But in the playoffs, like Big Perk said, I don't trust them. And I think that is where the Knicks will establish themselves as the team to beat in the East, as you said, as long as they stay healthy.
Let me ask you this, CP. How do you, when you look at a season, and you're a longtime fan, so do you break it up into quarters, into thirds? Are you going to, when your evaluations happen, 10 games in, 20 games in, how do you break it up?
For this team, it's to me, I think they're going to need a lot of time. We need some time to see how they adjust under Mike Brown. I would say by, All-Star break. Usually if this was Tibbs, we'd say maybe 20 games. Let's see what's going on. But even by All-Star break. But at the same time, man, we've been seeing so many ebbs and flows in a season. Last year was a perfect indicator where, it was a perfect example of you can't put too much stock in the regular season. Because look at what happened, right? They couldn't beat the elites. Couldn't beat the C's, couldn't beat the Cavs, couldn't beat OKC. They got washed, and yet and still they found themselves 2 games away from the NBA Finals. And they got stronger as that postseason went on. Now, Pacers were a different matchup for them, and the Pacers proved to be a better team. But I think really, especially with this team, I think it's the playoffs.
Yeah,
it's the playoffs. I agree with you. Really see who they are.
We used to make a big deal about which seed you are and the home team, the home town advantage, and it makes a difference at MSG, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But you can't imagine a world, unless something terrible happens, where we're not in the top 4 or the top 5 in the East. If that's not happening, something's very wrong here. That team is not built that way. So once you're in there, as long as you're healthy going into that stretch and you're in that top 4 or 5, I don't think it matters as much. Knicks prove they really play well on the road. They're a really good road team, and I don't, as long as we're there, I don't think you need to hurt yourself to get there. And I wouldn't hit the panic button anytime soon if we get off to kind of a weird start here. But the pieces are in place.
Yeah, well, Knicks fans, they certainly didn't hear that last thing you just said. So, come the first 2-3 game losing streak, we're gonna be sounding off the alarm, and we'll be right here talking about it as a family on the #1 show for the fans by the fans. So, very much looking forward to that, man.
And you will say, as you always do, nobody panic. This is 2 or 3 games. It's an 82-game season.
They had the pitchforks out for me when we lost the back-to-back to the Spurs and the Hornets. Remember that time in April? And Svi Mamaluski, I don't want to butcher the guy's name. The guy dropped 34 points on us off the bench. And everything was caving in. We're not going to beat Detroit. We can't beat these guys. We stink. We this, we that. Almost made it to the finals, man.
Yep.
Yeah. It changes that quickly.